All right, and welcome back. This week we have a brand new game for the episode that Jacobi is putting us through. So we have that surprise coming up here, and we're going through our thought process on how we select commanders. I'm Levi.
I'm Jacobi.
And I'm Joe.
And this is the Thought Vessel. Welcome to the show.
And with that, I'm going to interject. Would you boys like to play a game?
We're doing it now?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to just jump right into it.
Man, that's going to throw off my whole groove.
That's the point. I got to keep you on your toes.
Do you?
No, you can tell your story. What's up?
I mean, I was just going to be like, so what was your favorite choices that you've ever made?
Oh, my favorite choices?
Yeah.
Let me think here. I don't know. You got anything, Levi? And don't cop out. You can't choose Sarah.
Yeah.
That would be the choice. Definitely.
We want a different choice.
She's the obvious answer. No one could ever contradict you. Please pick something interesting that's not also Sarah.
Suffer in our limitations.
That's fair. I mean, another obvious, a little bit of a cop-out, but I'm going to take it. Choice is when we got to New Year's entering 2023, I had my resolutions list. One of them was I wanted to establish myself a creative outlet. I felt like a lot of my job is very like numbers oriented, not a lot of autonomy as far as like doing things very creatively. I wanted to find something that I would enjoy doing. For my birthday that year, I got a computer from my now wife, at that point was fiance, and I started a blog and I just started writing out my thoughts about magic, different strategies or philosophies, and created that, which was the Thought Vessel, which has turned into this podcast now, the Thought Vessel Show, or also known as the Thought Vessel. And the writing itself spun off into, working part-time at Cool Stuff Inc.
We also have matching hats.
And we have matching hats and playmats.
Yes.
Lots of swag that we keep for ourselves. If y'all want to have some merch, let me know. I can figure something out. But for the time being, these are staff exclusives.
The merch must flow.
Yes. Well, the Thought Vessel has been our baby for sure. It started off as kind of an idea that was mostly something Levi and I had talked about quite extensively. I wanted us to start it. And then the moment we started it, I think we just both jumped headfirst into it. You using more of your logistics and your ability to plan, Joe coming along with his capabilities and his whimsy, and me kind of just staying steadfast and making sure to find ways to help out where I can.
I definitely think working in threes was always the plan. I didn't want to have it just be a back and forth. I thought having the round table or the triangle was definitely a lot better for everyone, and we definitely wanted to do this with you. So
not to mention that we're just all very different opinionated people.
I think this started off as a baby between you and I that we had. I remember the first time we talked about it was in the car ride on our way to, I think it was it church?
Might have been church.
We would spend forever and a day just talking about stuff. And then when we went on like road trips to anywhere, we got to take Joe to a con. I think it was the second time we really broached that conversation. It was Atlanta, I think.
Take Joe to a con.
Yeah. Well, had to run the sales pitch on you.
Had to run the sales pitch on you.
I mean, I did drive, so technically speaking.
Yes, technicalities. But I currently do more con appearances than both of you.
Yeah, okay. If I'm the one driving, then,
Listen, I had to only the one time stand on business, and I'm going to stand on it.
That being said, I'm pretty sure like my last favorite choice that I made, I would say at least inspired a little bit of your decision to go into the podcast, which was to get into voice acting.
Mm-hmm.
I've been going at it for almost 2 years now. I just finished a virtual conference for the business side of voiceover, learned a whole bunch about the business side, learned that there are a lot of other resources that I may not have known about, made a whole lot of contacts that I now know about, able to diversify myself, got some discounts for some of the pay-to-play websites where a lot of VO is done, and been working through that. Haven't gotten a job yet, but it's been 2 weeks.
These things take time.
The biggest factor of that was that I got $100 off from like a year subscription to the membership to do the pay to play, which allows me to develop that repertoire.
Sweet.
Get in, get paid, and try to shoot for that 6-figure salary in VO. And at some point, maybe quit my day job.
That would be a wonderful instance.
Well, I mean, it just turns into my new day job at that point.
That's always the other side of the coin is, you do what you love until it's work, and then it becomes work.
That being said, it's not like I hate doing it. The main hate that I have right now is the fact that I got a booth and I have to pack so much stuff into it that I just need to buy a stool because I've been standing for like 30-minute increments just talking to a microphone.
Yeah. But always, at the end of the day, just try to do something you love. You're going to have bad days in the office no matter what you're doing, but just try to find something that you're going to have a lot of good days.
Oh, yeah. Like one of the primary seminars that happened with that was responding and having the tough conversation with a client, whether that be, hey, we need to discuss how you want to pay for this. We need to talk about the scope of the work and what that means. And one of the last examples that they gave was filing a suit for non-payment. They had done the work over a year ago and still hadn't gotten paid and kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. But basically having that hard conversation while still being polite about the actions that you were doing, because literally they went through the example of how they were polite in saying, I am suing you for my money.
Yeah.
And they came back with a thank you for being kind and compassionate during this point because they found out that the company was being embezzled from. So, of course, they didn't pay them. They didn't pay a whole bunch of people because they were dealing with a different financial crisis behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah. That's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jacobi, what was yours?
What was mine? That's a tough question, actually, for me to really answer. I haven't had a whole lot of spectacular events this year, aside from getting to be a part of other people's choices,
But it would be still a choice that you liked.
I guess mine's also kind of a cop-out because it involves your wedding.
We're leaning into cop-outs. It's all good.
This is fair. I'm going to go
Cop-out free since 93.
I think my biggest choice was the majority of this year I spent memorizing my speech at your wedding instead of having it written down and having the same kind of feeling everyone else would have had. I spent a lot of time and effort having it word for word memorized so that when I walked up, I could give it without having to let the anxiety really take hold and make me forget what was going on.
Yeah,
But-
which I'm pretty sure upstaged the Steve Smith cameo that your brother got you.
I was not expecting to do something like that, but using Cameo to get Steve Smith Sr. to do part of his speech was pretty cool.
I still laugh because he did it from his car.
Oh, yeah. He gave zero.
It was a very good one. I thought it was hilarious.
Like, I mean, when you're a multimillionaire, you're a TV personality, future Hall of Fame athlete, $20 is just like
$20
That's
is $20.
or actually, it was more like $20 to me. I looked it up after the fact. It was like $200 to get that cameo for like a 2 minute, but that's like gas money. That's nothing.
That's why he took it in the car.
Yeah.
He's like, well, you paid for the gas.
Gotta fill up the car real quick.
Yeah.
Let me pop one of these out.
I think another part of that is just like the requirement of turnaround time because I know with a lot of my VO, I have turnaround times of like 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't have like a dedicated time to be in a space where I have to say, well, I need to do it, I have to make shift and do it, or I have to at least inform the people, hey, I need an extension. Some people don't get that.
Mhm.
And that's why he probably did it from the car. It's still just hilarious that he did it for your wedding.
Yeah, but it was really cool. All right, well, at that point, we'll just, without further ado, jump into this surprise game.
Alrighty, boys. Are you ready to play a game?
I am ready.
Do you want to play a game?
Indeed.
It's very Duskmorn.
Duskmorn bullshit over here.
Duskmorn-esque. Today's game is called Who's Your Best Buddy? So
I thought we were best buddies.
we are best buddies,
Apparently not.
but here, who's your best buddy? So the objective of this game is I'm going to give you guys a partner. So I'm gonna name a card, and you have to try to guess any card within the top 5 partners.
Okay.
So for the first one, we're gonna pick something I think is standard: a Chroma Vision of Ixion. Ixidor. So guess
That's the white angel that has
7 drop
keyword.
6/6 flying first strike vigilance trample angel. At the beginning of each combat, for each other creature you control, it gets 1/1 for each of its keywords for a giant list here, and it has partner.
Okay.
So you have to guess one of the top 5 EDH partners it is with normally.
Okay. So obviously we're probably all the same mindset that the first one's Rograk, right?
I'm not doing Rograk with mine.
Okay.
The one I'm going to pick, because I think when it first came out, and I'm a little guild bias here, that there was a lot of conversation around pairing it with Sakashima,
Okay.
Mhm.
because it would effectively fill out its own strategy, because they would copy themselves and they both swing in for like 12 plus damage.
I can see
Okay,
that.
okay.
So
I-
I feel like Sakashima was up there.
I
Okay.
think Rograk is still quite a bit up there because that is also a commander that's just keyword soup.
Yeah, it is keyword soup, very strong. A little bit awkward because you have the 0-drop, you're just kind of holding back until a chroma comes out.
Well, I mean, then you do what a lot of CDH strategists like to do, and you're using like Springleaf Drum or other effects that really care about a creature being there at all.
All right. For the first round, Joe, you
Mhm.
get 5 points.
Hell yeah.
Rograk is number 1.
Very nice.
Levi, you get 3 points.
In the middle.
Sakashima is third.
Very nice. I'll take it.
Second place would have been Kamal.
Okay, yeah. Kamal Fistacrosa.
Yep, Rosa.
I think at that point you're just trying to spam green. I guess
So-
you also give trample to everybody.
So
Yeah, it's a different buff effect.
So
And you can make your lands.
the
have a bunch
way
of
it
stuff.
works, yes, that's what I was going to say. The deck archetype is you animate your lands, they get reach, indestructible, and vigilance. He gives them trample, and he buffs them by 3, so they become 8/8 lands with a bunch of keywords.
Assuming you don't die by then, because that's 2 8-drop commanders.
A 7-drop and an 8-drop.
Yeah, that
Well, yeah, at that point,
So-
those you have them as your commanders because they are finishers.
Yeah. Fourth would have been Ikra Shadiki,
I remember Ikra.
and fifth
Okay.
would have been Tana.
Okay. So we're going
So, yeah.
Abzan and Naya.
Mhm.
Naya, it's Tana's good, not great, but you also get red and green, so you get a 3-color.
Well,
And then it gets really big. You swing in, you make a bunch of tokens off the. I can see that.
yeah, I could see both the Abzan and the Naya because a lot of those are still go wide strategies, and with Chroma, that's just boof.
Well, at Ikra, you're going to get so much stinking life.
That too.
Like, you're never dying. Like, it's either commander damage or combo. Like,
Commanders never die.
aggro
That's
is
in
out
fact
of
a
the
lie.
question.
Yep. Alrighty. So your next one you're gonna guess is on Ghost of Ramirez de Petro. He is
Petro?
De Petro. He is a 3-drop 2/3 spirit pirate. He cannot be blocked by creatures with toughness 3 or greater. And whenever he deals combat damage to a player, choose up to 1 target card from a graveyard that was discarded or put into there from a library. This turn, put that card into the owner's hand.
I need to actually pull up the list of partners because there are probably some that
Yeah.
I
Just
am
don't
not
look
immediate-
at just don't look at any of
Yeah.
its partners.
Well, that's why I'm going to Scryfall.
Yeah.
Scryfall, I can just be like, hey, what are cards that say partner and not partner with? Because partner with, it's
Kinda
it's very obvious.
Yeah.
And then we just sort that by EDH rec rank because it's just going to show like their frequency of pops ups and decks. So
Right.
when he
I think I've got
damage-
mine.
When he does damage,
When he deals combat damage to a player, choose up to 1 target card in a graveyard that was discarded or put from a library this turn.
I kind of want to lean more on the pirate theme. So just for the colors, I think you want to use breaches.
Okay.
At one of the Magic Cons, I believe it was Chicago, I played against a similar one of these decks, and it was using, it may be a really uncommon pairing, but it was using Ghost of Ramirez, and it was using Armix, which is a Filgy Thrasher.
Oh, there is actually a different option that I want to choose because I literally just saw it and might actually be better for this. I want to go with Tormod the Desecrator. I think Tormod the Desecrator is a little bit better with that one.
All right.
Could be, but you want black so you can have your mill and you can have your discarding outlets.
Plus, it benefits when the card leaves the graveyard in any way.
I guess I'll just stick with mine. That's fine because I don't want to pick the same thing.
Oh, did I pick yours?
No, you're good. You're good.
Oh,
Yeah, I will revoke your ability to change enters in the future. I'll let you have this one for
Okay.
sure. Tormod is number 1.
hell yeah.
So you get 5 points. And then Levi Armax is 4. So you get 2 points. The top 5 in order are Tormod the Desecrator,
Okay.
Ravos Soul Tender, Francisco Foul Mercenary. Sorry,
Marauder?
Marauder.
Parrot. Yeah, the pirate
Yeah.
parrot.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Armix the Thrasher, and then the number 5 is Bruce Tarl.
Oh, for the double strike, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go pap 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 pap.
On to our third option here. Let me get it pulled up. Sorry.
Why are you apologizing? You're the game host.
Yes. So for our next one, we're going to go with Ik Tekik Salvage Splicer. So this is a 5-drop 1/1. When he enters, make a 3/3 colorless Phyrexian Golem artifact creature token. When an artifact is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a counter on him and all of your golems.
Cares about artifacts.
Artifact creatures.
It said artifact creatures? Or was it just artifacts?
It does.
Any artifact being put in the graveyard, but the counters go on creatures.
The payoff is creature oriented.
Specifically golems and himself.
Which, depending on if it's like wanting to be a token strategy, if it wants to move those, man.
I have an idea.
I also have an idea, but I've gone first multiple times, and I should, in fact, let you get 5 points sometimes.
I think Will in our chopper, one of the players we know, had this deck at one point in time. But I believe he was using Rebek, Architect of Ascension.
Okay.
Basically, the artifacts you control have protection from each converted mana cost among the artifacts you control. So, sacrifice things, you make your golems really big. They are protected from pretty much everything under the sun. You can swing in, you can block invincibly. White and green are both very good splicer colors. So you can make golems at a pretty efficient pace. So I'm pretty sure that one was at least up there in some capacity. That'd be my guess.
Alrighty. Joe?
So I'm stuck between two, but I should choose one. I want to say, because it still focuses more about artifacts, and even if you don't have artifact tokens to help grow your army, you still want a way to get some of those artifacts back, because it seems like a very bold strategy to do. Plus, this puts you particularly into Sultai, and I would say Silas Wren Seeker Adept.
Silas would be a good one too.
Alrighty. Joe, you get 1 point. Levi, you get 5 points.
I'll take it.
In order, it goes Rebek, Architect of Ascension. Very good guess. Second is Tago, Goblin Weaponsmith. Third is Armix, Filigree Thrasher. Fourth is Ishaya, Ojutai Dragon Speaker. And then last is Silas Wren.
Is the Shy just in there for just the 2 artifact tutor colors at that point? Or?
I want to say that's fair, but it also is just a different way to get big commander.
Well, Bant has all the splicers for the most part.
Yeah.
So maybe they just have it as a splicer, and then you get blink colors, so you can blink the splicers to get more.
That's also a possibility. Rebecca also makes sense, because then you have, all of my 0-drop artifacts are protected from everything that's 0, and so on and so forth. So I can understand. Plus, you're in Selesnya at that point, so you also do token shenanigans, populate shenanigans, other shenanigans.
Stop saying shenanigans.
I'm at least glad that Silas Wren was at least on the top 5, because that seems like it would probably have been much higher than 5th.
I would have thought it was 2 or 3 at least. But
That's crazy.
Ain't it?
Well, that's fair.
Alrighty. This one, I think you both will have a much easier time with. We're going to go with Prov of the Steel Legion. 3 for a 1/4 cat soldier. As long as it's your turn, creature tokens you control have +1/+4. It has pay 3 and a white to create a 1/1 white soldier creature.
I think I know which one I'm going to go with here, but because I believe you've even talked about this similar strategy before, is you pair Prava with Igor Shadiki, because then you have all these, and pretty much every token maker Abzan has access to, which is basically all of them. And then you create this massive board. They're at +1/+4. So every one of them that hits is going to be giving you 5 life. Then you just have an ungodly amount of life gain aggro, kind of a value engine of a deck. And then you can, if you wanted to go really spiky, you could do Gaia's Cradle and stuff and just pump a lot of that into Prava to just make a bunch of extra tokens. And kind of from there, at that point, the world's your oyster, however you want to finish it out. And you're in colors that have all the good board right protection too. So
I was going to go towards the Naya part of that, and I was going to say Tana.
Tana would have been good too.
Because
token producer.
Yeah, because what's even better than saying, hey, I'm going to pay 3 and a white to create a 1/1. I'm just going to swing in my commander that I'm probably going to pump and give trample to have way more during my turn. And plus Naya, Abzan, definitely good. Not going to lie. Naya is also right there.
Very good. Excellent. Levi gets 5 and Joe, you get 3. So in order, it's Ikra Shadiki. It is currently the highest by a lot, actually.
I believe that.
So for reference, this is actually the biggest disparity. Place 1 has 913 decks.
It's a lot of people that are
Place
just
2
vibing.
has 90.
Dang.
My
3.
God.
Sorry, 97. And it's not that much higher than number 3.
That is
Almost a multiplicative of 10.
quite a drop off.
That
Yeah.
is.
So number 2 would be Thrasios. Number 3 is
At that point, you
Tana.
just wanted the colors and value.
I imagine it does the same idea under the golem strategy as a possibility,
Well,
where it could just be in the colors.
Are
But
you
who
just-
knows?
maybe
Well,
you just like
there's-
passively spamming a bunch of mana and then just investing it in one of two directions.
Well, yeah, because a lot of token strategies also usually incorporate a lot of, I'm going to tap my creatures for mana. And Thrasios is a great way to be like, oh, hey, I have all of this mana and I'm not able to swing everybody at everybody. So I might as well just use it to accrue value.
Third is Tana, the Blood Sower. Fourth is Tevish Zat, Doom of Fools. And fifth is Kumal, Heart of Krosa.
Okay, Kamal definitely makes sense.
Putting
Tap-
putting an overgrown or overgrowth in your or overrun or whatever in your command zone is just great. Like Sarah's love letter, the Abzan human deck I built for her whenever she was kind of learning to play. It runs Kamal. It's mostly just like I want to kind of hit people with Timna, and then whenever I can't do that anymore, we get Kamal going to go over the top.
I view Tevish Zot in the same space as Thrasios, but you're limiting yourself to Orzhov and probably doing more of a token aristocrat strategy.
I imagine the idea of making a bunch of 1/5 thralls kind of funny.
That's pretty good. Or maybe we're just using Prava for the activated ability to make more things for Tevizat to eat. And then Orzhov tokens is very, very valid.
Yeah, because then you do like the new bastard from Thunder Junction that you liked a lot.
Kambal? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Honestly, Cabal probably takes the front of that. Oh, but also when it's under 100 decks, you get some really weird niche strategies. So
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to say.
Absolutely. Alrighty. I think this is the last one we have for picks.
Okay.
If I look at my calculator for tabulating score, this is in fact the 5th one.
Yeah. And for this one, I'm going to go with a interesting, not favorite, but just pick in general. We're going to go with Sidar Kodan of Jamora.
Ah, Sidar Kondo.
Yep, Sidar Kondo. He is a 4-drop 2/5 flanking creatures your opponents control without flying or reach, can't block creatures with power 2 or less.
An oldie, but a goodie.
An oldie but a goodie.
Hmm.
And I find that the combinations on this one perplexed me a little at first, but make total sense.
Yeah, because that's green and white, which means that we can get up to a 4-color with this one.
We could. Very possible. Can't block creature control. Has the flanking, which is funny to me.
And usually you want to like be lower to the ground with your creatures to get in. So
I think I've got my answer.
just because of the comment, I think I have my answer as well. And I believe I'm going to go in and say Silas Wren again.
Okay.
Ghost Run?
Yeah, because it's a 2-drop that it's whenever it deals combat damage. And unless they have very specific blockers, that means that Silas Wren's going to get in real easy so that you can get a lot of value. Plus, it becomes a 4-color deck at that point. Just sends red.
You meant 3-drop 2 power, correct? Because Silas Run is a 3-drop.
I meant 2 power, yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I didn't mean.
I knew
for,
what you
like,
meant,
the-
I just
the
had to be
mana value,
sure.
Yeah.
So for me, whenever I see this type of commander, this is going to be something that wants to keep everybody really low to the ground. But it also has to deal with the power 2 or less. And I have seen decks like this in the past. It's been a hot minute, but normally it's like the ones I've seen have been more like a Secret Doran Siege Tower commander, where it's going to be as many like Toughness Matters types of thing, but they put them in the 99, so it's harder to see it coming. So at that point, I need to add black. Silas Wren's off the table. So with the toughness being at 5, I'm going to say Ikra.
At this point, I don't think that It was put into the rules that we had to choose different things.
But I mean, I'm going to go. I don't want to pick the same thing as you. That kind of defeats the purpose.
I don't think it does. I think we're just going for points.
Correct. You are just going for points, but you may choose.
You know what? I'm sticking with Ikra because I've seen that deck list before. I have not seen Silas Trend before.
Levi, you get 4 points.
Hell yeah.
Joe.
Wait, hold up. How many did Joe get on that one?
Joe, you get 2 points.
Okay, then hell yeah. Because if I would have lost that on a point, because then I would have been pissed.
Yeah, I'm at 16. I know you made it up in the third and fourth picks because I did back-to-back 5s on 1 and 2.
I'm at 19.
Awesome. So with Sidar Khanda, the first pick is Timna the Weaver.
Is that a CDH deck?
No, but that also makes sense because Timna also cares about combat damage.
Chippies, yeah. That you would get underneath people. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Second is Ikra Shadiki.
It was right there in front of us, and we didn't fucking choose Timna.
Third is Ludovic, Necro Alchemist.
Okay, so you make it a Sans Blacklist.
Mm-hmm. Fourth is Silas Wren, Seeker Adept. And fifth is Tana the Bloodsower.
Yeah, Tana makes sense because it gets
Tana also makes sense, yeah.
But also, I guess technically, yeah, you're waiting. That would be a really good pump spell list because you just get past blockers and then you pump up Tana because you don't want to do equipment because then it is blockable.
But yeah, Timna absolutely makes sense why she would be there at the top spot. Oh, hey, I'm just going to swing these Reckless Abandon. They're going to do damage.
Tana's fifth.
Timna.
Oh, yeah, Timna, sorry.
But honestly, I mean, Timna just gets played so much because it's such a good effect in the command zone. Also, with multiple colors.
I will say I was a little thrown by the comment of they didn't make sense initially. So it was like, okay, probably not Timna.
So the reason it didn't make sense initially is the lists that Sidar and Timna make that are on EDH Rec, not as synergistic as exactly what you're describing. Like, of the 573 decks, a good 200 of them did not really focus on the synergy. They just kind of did other things and made 1/1 dudes, and the idea was only to make 1/1 dudes and then figure it out later.
That's weird. Like, 100% that's weird.
And the disparity here is not as severe as the majority of these. It's 573 decks for the top deck, 397 for the Ikra decks, 375 for Ludovic, 291 for Silas, and then 284.
Were most of them Secret Doran for Ikra?
Most of them were Secret Doran, in a sense. There was a list in here that was kind of universal between two of the ones I had picked that used Prava and Jodan intermingly. Like, it switched who was in the zone based off of the matchup. Like, if they thought they weren't going to get into combat, they switched to Prav until they could turn.
Yeah. I had the Bullet Club deck like that. People didn't like it.
I know that part of the 32 deck challenge, I in fact made a Sidar Kondo deck, but it was a Sidar Kondo with Malcolm.
Sure. Yeah.
Because then that's just free. Hey, I'm going to get treasure off of that to try and ramp my strategy that way. But I made it an infect deck.
Nice.
Yeah,
so,
you got blue, so you get some good value there with a lot of proliferate. Makes sense.
So one of these decks was extremely cheeky. Super, super cheeky. So it had all of the majority of the commanders I mentioned in this list. That's why I picked these groups. The groups that I picked. So the deck I am referring to has Akroma. It has Prava and Ikra as the commanders. And in the deck is Akroma, Heart of, and the what's his face? Oh, I'm blanking on his name again. Heart of Krosa.
Kamal.
It had Kamal in it. And the cheeky thing the deck did was it would get doublers out, find Awaken the Woods.
Making them lands.
And what it would do is, because the Awaken the Woods are lands that are tokens, it would grab Akroma's Will, Kamal's Will, and the finisher was having Prav, Ikra, Akroma, and Kamal out. Waken the Woods, play the two wills, turn them all sideways for I think it was, after the math was done, I think they were, what was it, 10 10s? Sorry, 10 15s.
Jesus Christ.
So really hard to kill, and they spent their whole mana board but because they had doublers, it was like they had to have 10 mana with the stuff out. And even though Awaken the Woods was like a low X value, the 2 wills just went, all right, well, we doubled 2 to like 8 and they're 10, 15s. Figure it out, guys. They also have Indestructible, Vigilance, Reach, Trample.
Protection from creatures.
Protection from all of your things, Lifelink, Double Strike. Actually, no, they were bigger than 10, 15s. I think it was 15, 20s. Because of all the extra keywords they got from the wills. It was wild.
Just imagine
and they had
trying to do all of that. Because that is a lot of goddamn mana.
I feel like I would get like 80% of the way there and then just get murdered.
Yeah.
Like it was the cutest little thing. It had flying wheels and a dream, but like the line they went for in the description was, I just really, really wanted this Awaken the Woods to be good. So I built a deck around it.
Yeah, because that's kind of where you would get killed immediately, is the Awaken the Woods.
I mean, put Awaken Woods in like any landfall deck. They come in as lands.
Yeah, like Jacobi.
Or any of them. Make badgers, draw cards, gain life. I don't care.
I still need to make the Jacobi food chain deck.
Sure.
I think
do whatever you want.
I think what made it hilarious is just the fact that I don't remember if Akroma's Will gave haste, but I don't
believe it does.
It had to. It was Kamal's Wheel that gave him haste.
Probably.
But still, just the haste enabler having to be in there via either Kamal or his will was hilarious.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It was so much mana. But the deck was nothing but that and mana production. It was that, doublers, mana production, and these creatures.
You know, at that point, if someone goes through the effort to get that, if I'm holding like a counter spell, like I don't even think I'd do anything. I just,
yeah.
At that point, like.
Because here's the other thing,
I'm
right?
just going to let him kill me.
Here's the other thing, right? They were like 15, 20s with double strike with Ikra out. So like they were gaining so much life. Because if each of them landed, that's 20 life just for them hitting you without the double strike or life link counted.
Imagine doing all that and getting fogged.
Look, I can now I understand why it was Ikra Shadiki, because the black for the tutors to get the other people that you want on the field, as well as the Awaken the Woods consistently.
Yep, that was what the black was in there for.
That's all it is. Because you could have done the same thing with Kamal as the commander.
No, you absolutely, you need to get all of that. You might even be running some like reanimator packages and run like Entomb and stuff.
But that does lead us into the next topic, how they chose that commander and how we choose ours. So, Jacobi, you've put us through that game. How about you start with telling us how you choose your commanders?
I like Krark.
You like Krark.
I like Krark. So, for the majority of my commander options, I do one of 3 things. The first thing I do is, legitimately speaking, I pick partners for Krark. I try to experiment with my absolute favorite commander, who happens to have partner that's not specific, and we figure out every single way to brew him. Not limited to walking up to every friend I have and going, hey, pick a commander for this guy. It can be any legal partner, and I will accept any of the unofficial ones from the unset. One of my friends actually did pick one.
Well, at that point, you kind of have to, because when else are you going to get the chance?
And the interesting one is they picked one that made flying cats. And the deck, the way it works is they just pick the letter K. And all of the spells in the deck have the letter K in it.
I take it back. That's dumb.
No, that's fantastic. I will take his excitement for it, and I will triple it. That's awesome. Go for it.
Yeah. And you know what the founding reason that letter's picked for?
Krark?
Both Katarina and Krark start with K.
Yep. See? Amazing. I love this. It's a great deck. To the moon.
It's hilarious how like jank the support for that deck is, because King of the Pride, because they're cats. It starts with K. There's a knight you can level up that's riding a Felidar that when you level up turns into a +2/+2 anthem.
Sure.
This is great. I love this.
It's extremely jank, but it freaking works.
I bet I know exactly who did that to you too.
Who?
Josh.
Good guess.
Because he's told me about wanting to build that particular commander. So of course he would force it onto you.
Yeah, he was excited.
I, like a jackass, gave him Prismatic Piper.
Yeah, it's less that we were a jackass. It's more like this is just so open ended. It's Wooburg. You went with the only Wooburg option by technicality.
You might be one of the very few people that have used Prismatic Piper not in Commander Draft. Because, like, you could literally just pick whatever color and just have something and it'd be better than Prismatic Piper. Doesn't have to synergize. You could throw in something to throw everybody off. You could throw, like, Tymna in there, do Mardu and be like, oh, it's going to be an aggro deck and just never touch Tymna.
But guess what? Prismatic Piper keeps them on their toes because they at least only know red until you tell them what the color might be.
Although it would be funny to build a deck where Tymna is just there to pass the butter, because that's probably never happened before.
By the way, Jacobi, since we were, in fact, apparently going to be building these decks together.
Yep.
Guess what?
What color is it?
We're building all 5.
Oh, okay.
We're
Spin the
building
wheels,
all
huh?
5.
You're going to make... You know what would be hilarious? You choose colorless. I don't know if it's a legal choice.
No.
But that would be
No,
hilarious.
you can, in fact, just have it be Clark and you could choose red. Yeah. You could just be like, yeah, this is red. This is Prismatic Piper. Oh, what's that color?
Also red.
Red.
Prismatic Piper looks at me. What is my purpose?
You
Pass
defined a color.
Yeah, you have
pass
to
the
choose a
color.
color, but you can just do red, I guess, and double down.
You pass the color. Oh my god. But yeah, so if it's not something to pair with Quirk, my other deck building ways to find my commander are, do I enjoy their mechanic enough? An example of this was Bernard making golems and being Bant. So I can make Phyrexian golems. Wonderful, wonderful cookie golems.
You definitely like to explore your Timmy.
Yeah, I like to do something.
That sounds so much dirtier than it is.
Enjoy your Timmy.
Nope, we're done. Nope. And like that, I am not about that. Yeah, but no. So I enjoy interesting mechanics that are sadly not good. Like Bernard is good, but not for the reasons. Sorry, I like Bernard, but not for the reasons that make him good. I like, oh look, all my golems finally have a synergy, and not this could just be a really, really potent stacks deck. I really loved, what was her face? The Grixis Curses chick.
Oh, yeah.
They were trying to make that work.
I loved it so much.
Yeah.
So much. The deck was beautiful. Freaking bad. Terrible, terrible deck.
It just didn't have enough support. That's kind of the biggest issue.
Like that was when they started doing like we're gonna make some extra commanders, just but put them in like in the packs instead of like as the commander.
Yeah, that was one of the first instances of a commander that was only obtainable if you cracked Collector's Pass. And I was so mad because I was like,
I got that from regular packs.
But yeah, it
But,
had
like,
it was
still,
not standard legal. There was no support
Mm-hmm.
for it.
There like no support. It wasn't in any of the commander products, but it was a commander only card. It's like, why? Why would you make this difficult?
Yeah, because they only printed like 2 decks when that came out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I like to build decks that have an interesting archetype, but to my downfall, do not have any follow through, because most of the things I find interesting that are like, oh, that's kind of really cool. That's really niche. There's not enough support for it to do it the way I want to do it.
That being said,
Like experience counters. I'm building that deck. It's almost done. Man, has it been an absolute chore.
And that was, for the record, Lind Cheerful Tormentor.
yes.
Thank you.
Which, by the way, we could in fact do that as a Wooburg commander.
So I guess
Prismatic Bridge.
No. So for the experience counters?
No, for the
Prismatic Bridge
curses.
is a polymorph. You make Lind the only creature in the
Oh.
deck, and then you get every curse under the sun.
I mean, we could try it at
Yeah.
some point if you want to.
Yeah.
Help me construct that. But
I mean, I've already built a lot of the reanimation package for Prismatic Bridge, but that kind of leads into why I choose commanders, because there are times in which you can have a very strong commander like Prismatic Bridge, but then flip it on its head by doing a polymorph kind of deck with it. Or sometimes even leaning even harder into the restrictions like my Cody deck, where the only permanents in there, aside from Cody, are lands. And I've even been dropping a lot of those off because MDFCs have been coming out. Sure, people say that it makes the deck quote unquote worse. I haven't seen it, because sometimes if you can keep ramping out lands, it doesn't matter at that point if they came in tapped, because you've negated a lot of the issues from the start. the other part of that is looking into commanders that maybe not everybody has touched. Like one of my favorite first commanders that I built was Rith the Awakener, one of the older Elder Dragons that had the pay to and the specific color for their ability to do choose a color and do something in that effect. Rith's was whenever you deal damage to somebody, you could pay 2 and a green and you choose a color. And you immediately make that many 1/1 Saprolings equal to everybody's permanents on the field that match that color, which I loved. It made me want to build a 6-drop commander specifically to keep making Saprolings because I wanted to focus on Saprolings. And especially, board get big. Very big board. And it was at that time that I also got a little bummed out to find out that Painter Servant was banned because I wasn't going to be playing Painter Servant to mill people out. I was going to be playing Painter Servant to make everybody's permanents the same color, including their lands. Swing and then make a Saproling for every permanent on the field.
Yeah. See, there's a lot of times where I'm like looking at an archetype. I'm like, on paper, this seems like so interesting and fun. And then I realize that the support's just not quite there. And it makes me so sad. Like when we came back to Phyrexian stuff, I was really, really hoping for more splicers. We got one.
That was weird.
Yeah.
We got one.
Well, I mean, yeah, that happens. Basically, Wizards will print support for new archetype. Sometimes it's just always Wooburg. Like the most recent one is Marina Vendrell with the rooms. And that seems to be at least a bit interesting as far as an enchantment commander is concerned. Because now we have like an actual dedicated Wooburg enchantment commander. Because I doubt that that commander would be as good for enchantments if it only said rooms.
That's fair.
But yeah, I also like to just lean very heavy into very specific restrictions. Like, despite me loving Wooburg, I usually do Wooburg, but a restriction instead of just Wooburg good stuff. I never really built the Ur-Dragon because that's kind of straightforward on what you want to do. And plus, everybody and their mother has one.
I mean, it also depends on which direction you're taking the
Yeah.
Dragon.
One of the more interesting ones actually happened on an episode of Extra Turns where it was Ur-Dragon as the commander, but it was like every Lord's deck to buff up specific changelings or even just get Mirror Entity. I think it's Mirror Entity.
Mm-hmm.
Mirror Entity to just have everything be the thing and just go forth, conquer, win. Or
well, Mirror Entity is the buffer. But...
yeah, but it also makes everything every creature type, which means everything get buffed. Or and a different kind of thing, the Tazries, specifically the second and third one. Second one being the party Tazri, where I specifically focused on just having the party restriction and making sure that every creature in there was part of the party. Or the activated Tazri, where I made sure that everything in there had an activated ability that wasn't producing just mana.
Did you take the companion?
I don't believe so. I needed to check my requirements in there because there's likely a way to put Giganta in there.
Yeah. Because I mean, you could put Zedra, the fox.
Oh, that
because it as long as all your stuff has activated abilities, you should be able to put that in your
Zerda. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can definitely see that as the companion. There were some that were a little bit cheeky, like Takashia. While she had an ability there, she also gave anything that didn't have an ability on the field an ability to surveil, so that even if it didn't have an ability itself, oh hey, this now can tap for mana.
It's gonna get one now.
Yeah, I think that was the main thing. I know that there is some updates that I can make because like the twitching doll, because it has that secondary ability to make a whole bunch of spiders, can now be recovered from the bin because it doesn't just have a mana ability, it has a secondary one. And you're just basically trying to look for a lot of that with some support after that, because anything that is not one of those, right to the bin. And I don't immediately like that. I like to get the most value and most in theme as possible.
Makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I think that, and your decks have had various ranges of what you're doing. So you've had some decks that are a lot of clone based or spellslinger based, or you've had some token producing decks that we've seen recently with the Jirid. And then you've been experimenting in the CDH space as well. So A lot of different decks you're building at times. I know you're doing the 32 challenge, so you're brewing at any given time.
There's also just latching on to like wanting to give everybody a wedding ring. The wedding ring decks that are super jank.
So I finally came up with a solution, by the way, for the levels deck. Sorry, experience deck. With this new set that we just got, the Duskmorn, I discovered the easiest way to do it is to just run Manifest and Manifest Red. They enter as 2/2s. They are colorless. If it is something you want, you flip it. So if it's in your experience commanders, and if it's not, it's gonna buff all the things you care about. And when people kill them, it buffs the commander anyways.
You're probably also looking at Simone for that deck too. That deck's put in work. But how about you, Levi? Our spikiest spike.
For me, it really just kind of depends on what I'm going for. So kind of some things that have been in the pipe recently was one, for an article on Cool Stuff Inc. I built Nico, our newest commander from the set. So Nico the Light of Hope, or Nico Light of Hope. Basically, it was, as I since titled the deck list, Nico Blink with Extra Steps, where you're making these 2/2 shard tokens, and then you can flicker something out, and all of your shard tokens become a copy of it. So it's somewhere between, like, you really want something like a Sun Titan that has an ETB effect and an attack effect, because you're getting that kind of value at any given time. Although Sun Titan is not particularly in this deck, because there's not a whole lot of 3-drop stuff that I'll be putting in. If I was going to up the price of the deck, I would run a slew of shock land, or a slew of fetch lands, and then put it back in for like more of a ramp package, because you could just get a fetch land back like 5 or 6 times. But not currently doing that with the build I have. And it was mostly just kind of balancing between having enough, because you want to flicker Nico a ton and then eventually start putting in some payoffs to just get other things online. So some of the finishers in the deck, you can always do stuff like perpetually bouncing Stonehorde Dignitary to just kind of shut off combat steps for people that are going to try to kill you. But you're going to win with kind of cards like Aerial Extortionist, where you can basically exile someone's whole board when you get enough of them onto the field. You can win with Silverwings Squadron, which makes a knight for each creature or each opponent that you're attacking, and they're also as big as their creatures, and they're flying a vigilance. So if you attack with like 6 of them, you're making 18 tokens, and then all of them are above 20 power, and it's all flying vigilant. It's really good.
And then I started booping them.
But a lot of the decks that I like to build at this point are more like value accrual over the span of the game, where the longer the game goes, the more it kind of swings to my favor. Although I have built decks in the past that are trying to win or get out ahead before someone can get kind of comfortable. And that's more like if I'm trying to do more of an aggressive strategy.
Yeah.
So usually I try to select what it is I want to do. So at one point I wanted to build an Azorius kind of control Planeswalker deck where I have enough Planeswalker turrets online that have card advantage and removal, but also have the ability to keep themselves around and maybe get some emblems off.
And that was when we all decided to really hate ourselves and build all Super Friends decks, but different ways.
Yep. And that particular build was probably one of my more favorite ones. It has since been taken apart and the piece has been used in multiple decks, but that was Grand Arbiter Augustin IV.
And then you shifted over to my choice for that, which was Narset, OG Narset.
OG Narset, I still have that one together now. But Grand Arbiter Augustin, because you had so many really strong 2 like blue and white planeswalkers, that you just get Grand Arbiter Augustin on the field. They're all coming in way above curve, or like way below the curve that they need. And then usually, because you're slowing down your opponents at the same time, you can get enough on the board that you can't just get taken out of nowhere from your opponent's attackers. And then you just kind of slow things down until you can get some emblems off. And at that point, you win with either scooping or you build up tokens or whatever it is you want to do.
Scoop's not a viable win con.
It is when you win.
I mean, it isn't. Cough.
But with that as well, but then there's other decks like Plan A Pirates, which is my Malcolm and Sakashima, where the whole point of the deck is to play Malcolm, copy it with something that says a legend rule doesn't apply, for example, Sakashima, and then you just make as many as possible. So in the math situation, if I attack all 3 of my opponents and I have 5 Sakashimas, that's 5 instances of hitting 3 opponents. That's 15 treasures in one go. And then from there, it's a mono blue deck. You're making as many as possible. Sometimes you get lucky and somebody plays something better, and then you just start copying whatever gets played. I've won games off of copying Shieldreds and then wheeling. I've won games off of someone playing the Orzhov token Spirit Maker because I'd hit someone, make 15 treasures, then I might instead make 15 spirits.
Man, it's crazy. Clones are good.
When you got like 20 of them, yeah, they do a lot of work.
Crazy. It's almost like I knew that.
That or like, there's stuff in the deck like Scourge of Fleets, which bounces all things, even the islands I control, which for man is a high number, and then you can just perpetually copy it to keep people from having anything on the board, and then just swing with 6/6s. The deck can do a lot of different things. It always wins with a different strategy because normally you're either chipping with 2/2s or something else stronger comes along. Normally something else stronger comes along.
But usually what you're gravitating towards is a viable commander for a strong strategy that you're trying to employ.
So I would say it's more of a bottom up where I have something in mind that I want to do, and then I find a commander that will help facilitate that in some capacity. Sometimes it's just a value engine. So for example, for my wife, Sarah, she doesn't particularly like to be aggressive and attacking. So I'm working on a very goad heavy, incentive based, everyone attack everybody else. And if you attack me, I'm going to use like a deflecting palm type of thing for this. It's going to be 4 colors, and I'm going to be using partners because I end up using a lot of partners because a lot of my strategies are generic enough that I can just I just want some type of engines. But it's going to be Ludovic and Ravos.
Basically, and Jacobi, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like we're usually more top down. We like the commander and then we build around the commander versus we have a deck idea and we want to build up that deck idea and then choose the best commander for it.
I do both. But the thing is that, for instance, the Splicers deck, where it was the interesting commander, started with the Splicers. I had a deck base, and an interesting commander came along, and there's just not enough support for the meat of the deck. The commander almost got there, but still was disappointing because there's not enough support.
That's fair. I typically still go with, more often than not, I would say like a 80% top down, 20% of the time I have an idea and need to find commanders. Hence the Wedding Ring deck, hence the Essex Slime Against Humanity, because I really wanted to build a Slime Against Humanity deck. Didn't know what commander to go for that. And it turned out that Essex was a funny one to just be like, hey, I'm doing clones, but extra steps.
There is one deck I may still build. I haven't really decided. That's just, hey, we did combat damage. How many triggers is this?
Oy.
So Felix 5 boots?
So maybe. So the idea is like every combat damage doubling triggerer, and we just run we run a, what's his name? What's that dragon's name? He's cool. Anyways, there's a dragon. It deals combat damage. It makes mana equal to the damage. How many
There's
times?
Clouth, but that's off attack.
One of them it is attack. You're right.
I mean, you had Old Gnawbone that was on damage for treasures, but that's just mono green.
There's Wolfgar?
Wolfgar doubles.
It's a double attack trigger. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right, he's talking more connecting.
No. I meant attacking.
Oh, attack triggers? Okay.
Yeah. Which at that point, you're probably just trying to
like Wolfgar and the...
You probably want to do Wolfgar, Felix 5 boots, and try to also get Ishin in there and just get like every single thing that you can.
Yeah, that was the deck.
Attack deck is what that's at.
I don't care if we connect. We turn the boys sideways. Math is for blockers. By the way, here's some triggers.
Reconnaissance is broken. We get it.
Reconnaissance is a dumb, stupid, ugly, poopy deck card that should not be in Magic and should not function the way it functions.
So yeah,
it's amazing.
You are in fact looking at a Wooburg commander that cares about attackies.
Yeah, probably Kenrith.
Kenrith is probably
Trample and haste for a mana.
It's probably the safest option.
Kenrith's a bit of a catch-all because then you can get your stuff back, you can make it bigger, gives haste, you can gain life if you're getting cracked back a bunch.
Actually, there is in fact a interesting way of getting a lot of value off of that. And hey, Jacob, do you want the rest of your attackers to be legends?
You're about to Joda.
I'm about to say Joda.
Ugh. All of the things I did mention are legends.
Yeah, you did.
Some of the best attack triggers are from legends.
Yep.
Most of those attack triggers are not human, so Winota gets in there.
And
in
then
that situation, as you're doing kind of hidden commander, I would almost recommend Sisay just to be able to consistently get Ishin and Wolfgar.
Which also makes sense.
That's hidden commander, and Sisay would let you get it faster.
But if you really want to keep them guessing, you just tell them your commander's Chromat.
Boo.
Now you go into the old school Wooburg commander.
I'm seriously considering building the Kambal and a chroma deck.
Ah.
Just good old,
Mhm.
Big.
good old big in 2-color. Spend mana, get dudes, choose violence.
See, the difference between you and me when building, though, with this is you said 5-color attack triggers. My immediate brain went, oh, we can do a Sisay. We can go tutor the double triggers. And then we can also go get an Agila at infinite combo if we wanted to.
Because that's lame. That's
You
extraordinary.
could absolutely get
lame.
that going if you were
You
inclined.
could do it. That doesn't make it not lame.
Sometimes games got
That's the thought difference is you're like, okay, this is how we do it the optimal way. And I think, man, what's the funny way to do this?
Well, even if you
Oh.
don't infinite, like the double attack trigger, you swing with a warrior, you make 2 attacking warriors
So,
for each warrior.
I mean, there's also, and this is a really good one, that cares about attacking Okagachi.
What is that?
Okagachi deals combat damage to a player. If that player attacked you during their last turn, exile target non-land permanent that player controls. Felix 5 boots. I'm going to exile 2 things.
Crackbacks have consequences.
Crackbacks have consequences.
Fair enough.
And guess what? We've got the name for the deck. Crackbacks have consequences.
Fair enough. Well, I think that's all my thoughts.
Yeah, I think that's all the time we have. We each had a chance to talk about our methods of how we go about selecting commanders. Maybe next time we'll go into how we would, or for a future episode, we'll take a look at once we get our commanders, kind of how do we build the deck from the ground up? Do we go with kind of filling out the rapid card draw, the special cards? Like what is the plan from there? But
Oh, I mean, spoiler alert, synergy for me.
I believe that. But I think that is all the time we have. So ending the podcast on the stack.
No. I have something this time. Jacob, help me.
I'm sorry, Joe, but you priority bullied me for the last time. I pass.
Damn it.
Resolves. I'm Levi.
I'm Jacobi.
And I'm Joe.
Hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day.
Take care.
Bye.